Welcome, wonderful people of the internet. This is the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast. Here, we like to talk about all the awkward and uncomfortable things you might be thinking but are too embarrassed to say. My name is Dan, and I am cordially inviting you to witness me making a fool of myself with each week's new episode. But for now, get comfortable, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Welcome back to the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast. It's a Friday. You survived the week. You survived the heat. Now it's time to rest, relax, and just hang out with me. If you tuned into last week's episode, I said that I was going to have a surprise for you, and I am very excited to announce that the surprise did come to fruition, and I have my very first guest on the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast, and I'm so happy that she is here. So I'm going to turn it over to her so she can introduce herself.
Well, thank you for having me, Dan. My name is Leslie, and this week I'm joining the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast.
Yes, thank you so much. Lil Leslie has been one of my closest and dearest friends for forever. She has some pretty good credentials when it comes to fitness, working out. She's always on the go, always eating everything. And you're probably wondering why the name of the episode is The Veggie Dumpster. Well, that is Leslie. That's what I call her because she eats more vegetables than I think anybody in the whole entire world. For her birthday, I just went to the grocery store and got her a bunch of produce and put it in a nice bag. And let me tell you, she was just so happy, you know? Probably best present ever, right?
Thrilled. Just all the veggies you could think of.
Yes, but realistically, I am so thankful and so happy that she took the time to come here and hang out with me today and talk about her fitness journey, her fitness update for the last little week, and then she just recently delved back into the old dating scene with the dating apps, so we're going to kind of dive into that and see what the state of dating in the 21st pandemic, almost post-pandemic scene's like, right? Yeah. All right, so first things first, though, after my dry week last week, I decided that it's definitely time to get another drink, and Leslie's here, so we have to do that. So this week we are doing Muskoka Brewery. We have a Tread Lightly, which is a nice light lager. Muskoka, obviously, if you're up in the cottage country, great time, great around the pool. But who cares about that? Let's just get into it.
We'll give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's not bad.
Little hoppy.
Yeah.
But
Oh, look at you, a little hoppy.
The very few things I know about beer. But it's not bad.
It's like Bud Light at the beginning, and then...
Yeah, and then hops at the end, but I don't mind it. We'll see how it goes. That's just the first step.
We have tall cans, so we'll be partaking in this throughout the whole episode. So that's pretty exciting there. So Muskoka Brewery, check them out. They got a whole bunch of different stuff. They're also in Canada's Wonderland now, too. Me and my brother went back there before the pandemic with the kids. And you can buy beer there, which is ingenious. And yeah, me and my brother had quite a lot. Let me tell you, Wonderland's great when you're... got a buzz. Minus the roller coasters.
It's the adult version of Wonderland.
Exactly. You know, it's we got to increase revenue. Let's just sell them beer. All right, so let's kind of get things started with our random thoughts for the week. You know, last week was my devastating Leafs loss. This week, well, the Canes lost. I wanted the Carolina Hurricanes to take it, but they got absolutely dumpstered by Tampa Bay, which, you know, I'm not obviously that upset about that. But other than that, was there anything that, you know, was on your mind, you know, bugging you want to get off your chest?
I would say not for this week. I'm pretty excited that we got some promising news of things kind of slowly opening back up, so that's definitely something to look forward to. Seeing as there's really not much going on this summer, we only have like a few camping weekends planned, and up until a few days ago, that was on hold because you weren't allowed to stay overnight in provincial parks. But as of Friday, we're back on, so I'm pretty pumped.
Yes, absolutely. If you're in Ontario, which I know most of my listeners are, we got some good news on Monday there that they moved it up 3 days. Ooh, thank you, government. But yeah, patio's reopening on Friday, so we'll all just say a little prayer for the patio workers and stuff like that who have been off for a while. So as always, be nice to them. They're going to be a little rusty. Don't be rude. And as always, yes, tip generously. We have a waitress here, so she definitely can speak to people being a little more rude during the pandemic times. But yeah, and as I said, it's been hot as hell. So hopefully everyone's just kind of relaxing by the pool, enjoying the nice weather, because it's not going to be around forever, that's for sure. Random thought for me, I watched Seaspiracy on the Ocean Day, and I know oceans are very close to you. You shouted them out on your Insta page the other day, and so I thought, I had some extra time. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this documentary. Absolutely great. Would recommend everybody watch it because, we've getting a lot of misinformation about what's going on in the ocean. And I am by no means an activist in any means, but after watching this, it's definitely eye-opening. Like, so let me ask you, Les, what do you think is the biggest issue right now facing the oceans and stuff like that?
I think that people don't realize that, like, even if you cut back a little bit on your plastic intake and what you use, things that you buy, it really does make a difference. Because if everybody just says, oh, well, I'm only one person, I'm not going to make any difference. Well, it does. In the end, it all adds up slowly. Like, same with not using straws anymore, like the reusable straws. Everyone's gotten used to that now. It's not the end of the world having a paper straw. And if not, you buy a reusable straw and you wash it. So I think that people kind of need to take into consideration that like they can make a difference even if it's only a little bit. I haven't watched the documentary, but I definitely plan to because I've heard really good things about it as well. It's very eye-opening, and I think that maybe people need to kind of do their part in their research and like see really what is going on in the bigger picture and see how they can make changes to themselves to hopefully help a little bit.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think that is what anybody would say. What's the biggest, issue facing the oceans right now? Plastic. And your mind is going to be blown when you watch it, because the fact of the matter is right now, at this point, yes, plastics are bad. Everybody should be doing the reusable straws, reusable cutlery, everything like that. That's, one-time plastic use, get rid of plastic bags. We have to continue down that path. But right now, the biggest issue is industrial fishing. And honestly, to the point with these next couple of years, they're saying that, like, we could potentially lose the oceans. And if we lose the oceans, we die. And everyone's kind of banging on about climate change and this and that and how we have to, spend money on these electric cars and all to your carbon footprint. I get it. Like, I understand that. But what they're not telling you is that, for instance, the oceans deal with about 85% of the carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. A plant underwater does 30% more carbon kind of cleaning than a tree and like that. So people don't really understand, it's kind of gross, but like whales, dolphins, fish, especially the bigger ones, they come up to the surface, they, their waste comes out, and the waste actually cleans the carbon. So it's just like we've almost overfished populations to almost extinction. And I don't know if when you go buy like tuna and that kind of stuff, you see like, oh, dolphin safe.
Yeah. Lie.
No such thing as dolphin safe. It's absolutely mind-boggling. People are banging on about how, slavery's still in Thailand, slavery's still a thing on these big fishing boats because they've fished to the point where there's nothing left almost, and they need to fix this problem. They need to make money, so the only way they can do it is with slavery. And my mind was blown. As I said, by no means am I an activist, but right now we're on like a brink over these next couple of years, and I think the biggest thing to say is, there's no such thing as sustainably fishing right now. A couple of years back, couple of decades back, yeah, for sure, you had a large population, you could do this, and then it would kind of recoup and that kind of stuff. Now it's to the point where the only logical, I guess, thing you can do is just not eat fish. Like,
well, and even then it's just like you can only abuse things for so long until eventually there's going to be some kind of negative effect, and people don't realize like how important the ecosystem is. Like, it really does play a role in everything. And I think, I'm not saying like I know a lot, but just from the few things that I do know, like, it really does make a big difference, like in how you shop and everything like that. Like, my family doesn't buy from the grocery store for fish and everything like that because my dad goes fishing and it's done humanely and it's actually fresh from the ocean and it's not coming from overseas. Yes, it's still fishing, but it is like a bit more of a realistic way to look at things than buying everything from the grocery store.
Absolutely. And by no means am I saying if you're a fisherman and you enjoy fishing to stop that, because that's not the problem, right? Like, you're taking a couple bass, couple perch here, and that's not the problem. It's these massive boats that are just, and even in like Japan, for instance, they're literally just killing dolphins because they eat fish.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Like, they're treating dolphins.
It has an effect on their fishing.
Yes, they're treating dolphins like rats. Like, it's honestly, it was mind-boggling. I don't, but why aren't we hearing about this more? That's my question. And as I said, obviously it comes down to money, and they explain very well as to why we're not hearing about this. So I definitely recommend, if you have the time, take the time, especially if you got kids, watch Seaspiracy. It's on Netflix. Your mind will be blown. I personally don't eat much fish to begin with. I will continue to do that, and by no means am I being like, I'm saving the ocean, but it's just something has to be done. For instance, especially with coral, everyone's like, oh, well, the plastic's killing coral, blah, blah, blah. No, realistically, there's no fish left, and fish waste is what coral feeds off of. So it's just kind of this big whole thing.
All intertwined.
And yeah, and it just, for me, I just get frustrated in the fact that why isn't anybody saying the real reason as to why, plastic is bad? Yes, I understand that. But there's this other huge, bigger issue that
more than just plastic.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about. And again, it all comes down to, you look at these, like, all these conservatives who are, what do they call the people who want to save the ocean? Activists, yeah. Their websites, they don't mention anything about, eat sustainably. But he proves that there's no such thing as sustainbly eating right now fish, because we've fished to about 99% of extinction of most of those big. Yeah, so at this point, what I'm doing and what I will be telling my family to do is, we don't really eat fish to begin with, but if you're going to be, as I said, locally fishing is fine, but anything from the grocery store, I would definitely, cut back on, because it's crazy. My mind was blown, and I don't usually, care too much about documentaries.
I think too, it's just what comes into play too is, like, people don't realize where their food comes from. Like, they buy it from the grocery store and they're like, oh yeah, like, they have no idea, like, that it's come from overseas or whatever. Like, I'm not saying everyone, but I think a big portion of people just don't realize, like, where things come from. Even, like, produce and stuff like that. Like, we don't grow everything here. Things are imported, and I think people need to kind of, like, take a bigger look at what they're eating and where it comes from.
Absolutely. And, like, we grew up in a little bit of more of a small town, so we have farms around here. We see kind of what goes on, and by no means is that to the extent of where your food comes from. But, things like, there's going to be trucker shortages, there's going to be food shortages coming up after the pandemic over the next couple months. So pay attention to that stuff. And honestly, at the end of the day, just go and do some research. Go see what's going on. Read into the dolphin safe little patches they put on tuna and all that stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, they don't care. They pay to put that on there, and that's where the big money comes from. At the end of the day, the fishing industry just makes so billions and billions and billions of dollars that no one cares. And it kind of blows my mind, because we have all these kind of human rights issues going on in North America right now, and we still have slavery going on, and we're still eating fish that have been, caught with slaves, and no one seems to be really caring. So again, it's just this whole thing. I don't want to get too much into it, because I do want you to watch it and really enjoy it, and kind of let me know your thoughts. If you watch it, let me know. Send me a DM, send me an email, post on Instagram for me to see, and let me know what your thoughts are. And does this change the way you're going to be eating fish going forward? Because honestly, it is a huge issue right now, and we're kind of in that couple years where things need to change, or we're going to be losing the oceans. And if we lose the oceans, then we're gone too. So hopefully we can kind of turn it around and get things back, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I apologize for that little bit of doom and gloom. Always a little bit of doom and gloom when it comes to the random thoughts, because again, lots of stuff's going on in the world, and we just want to make sure that we're talking about it. So let's kind of get into the fitness update. Now, Leslie, you just recently completed your personal training certificate. Mm-hmm. Nice. Awesome. Any kind of plans for that? Are you going to be doing like an Instagram page? Are you going to be kind of making a program for yourself? Anything like that?
I'm not sure as of yet, just because obviously with all those restrictions with COVID, we haven't really had the capacity to do anything. I definitely want to get involved with it somehow. I'm just not really sure how that's going to look yet, but I got the certification. I took the time during the pandemic because I knew that I had some extra time. I was only working part-time, and I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, like, this is the time to do it. Like, I still have a lot to learn, of course. Like, a certification is only so much, but I want to learn more, and I want to do something with it in the future for sure.
Awesome. And I think that's, being honest about wanting to learn more and not knowing everything is half the battle, because you see so many people posting stuff everywhere thinking they know stuff, and it's like, well, no, that's already been debunked, and it's just kind of crazy. So I think you'll do very well. You are obviously very, very fit. You are always walking, always running, always giving us updates all the time as to what's going on. So how was your last week and a half? Did you find that after the long weekend you're in a little bit of a slump, like this nightmare here, or what? What are you thinking?
I mean, I know for myself anyways, like, I don't go into the week being like, okay, well, this week I'm gonna do okay, I kind of have a routine, but I know come the weekend that there are odds of me having drinks and eating things that I shouldn't necessarily eat in excess. I'm probably going to, because I don't work out to compensate for what I'm eating. I work out because I enjoy it and I eat the things that I enjoy to eat. Like, I'm not on a diet or anything like that. Like, okay, yes, I do kind of like take into consideration like what I'm eating. Am I going to eat healthier like leading up to the weekend? Absolutely, because I know I can control what I'm eating. I have more I plan my meals. I go to the grocery store, like I get things prepared. I have to make my lunch, like especially working in an office now a couple days a week. We have nothing around us, so it means that I need to bring my snacks, I need to bring my lunch. So that makes me make better choices. So for this week, I would say, honestly, like this week, it doesn't even feel like it's Friday. My days are all over the place. But this week has been really good. I've worked out every day leading up to the weekend and have watched what I've ate. So I know that obviously I'm going to enjoy myself this weekend.
We're going wild this weekend.
It's really hot out. And when it's this hot out, it deserves an ice cold beverage. And
a couple.
Yeah, I would say a couple. So yeah, definitely going to make sure that I enjoy my weekend.
Absolutely. You always are posting all sorts of crazy, delicious looking recipes. Is there anywhere you go to get those, or do you just kind of do it yourself, or what do you think? And you take something and kind of make it your own, cut out things you don't really like, or what do you usually do?
Honestly, for recipes, like I use them as a general guideline. Like I know for baking, you really need to stick to the recipes, and that's why I don't really bake that much, because I usually just take it as a general guideline to follow. But yeah, actually, Brandon and I discovered this, I think we found it on Instagram actually, but it's called Pinch of Yum, and they've got quite a few recipes that we've tried out. Also Pinterest, big fan of Pinterest. You can literally find everything. I've also used like the Tasty that you see like on Facebook.
Oh god, yeah.
They also have a website. But usually it just depends on like what I feel like eating, and I kind of look up ingredients and then kind of go from there. Let's be real. I eat salads every single day and I'm perfectly content with that. But I do like to try new recipes and eat different things because I can't eat everything the same all the time.
Yes. But you say you eat salads a lot, which you do, but your salads are like not normal salads. They are like, they have lots of fun additives. It's never really the same salad every day. So that's, as I said, always exciting, because some people, like myself, I always try to eat the same thing every day, and it gets to the point where I'm just like, I'm going to McDonald's because I hate
I'm over this.
what I'm eating, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I eat my overnight oats majority of the time for breakfast because I'm on the go. Like, I usually drive to work, eat my breakfast, go in, or eat right before I leave. So, like, I don't have time to make a full-on meal, which, I mean, breakfast food is amazing, and if you have time to make brunch, you should. So I definitely try to do that when I'm not going into work, but if I'm going into work, I usually eat overnight oats. I've really gotten into Asian pears lately because I don't really like actual pears, but I really like apples, but I like them being cut up, but you can't cut up apples the night before because then they're all brown and nobody wants to eat brown apples.
Gross, yes.
So I find that if I cut up Asian pears and eat that as like my morning snack, that it doesn't go brown or anything and still tastes just as good. It's kind of like it's like a pear and an apple combined together. But yeah, usually my salads are like spinach, romaine, or spring mix, depending on what I have in the house, or like mixture of everything. Cucumbers and peppers, I literally eat every day, even if it's not in my salad, just cut up. On my way here, I had some in the car as my afternoon snack. But yeah, usually try and mix it up. Avocados, pickles. Pickles are weird on salads, but I don't care. They're amazing. I usually try different kinds of dressings. Actually, I recently discovered this Parmesan vinaigrette that Renee's makes.
Okay.
And it's delicious.
All right.
So I've been eating that as my go-to dressing lately, just as changing it up, because I do like making homemade dressings, but that's just a lot of work when I'm going to work, so I just bring the whole dressing with me to work.
Now you can all understand why I call her the vegetable dumpster, because that's what just happened there. But yeah, no, for sure. I think being prepared is half the battle, right? And that's not the problem, but most people just said, I find when I'm not prepared, I am going,
exactly.
That's where I'm going to fail, right?
And
so, meal prepping and taking that time maybe on Sundays or whenever your days off are to kind of just prepare for the week is the best course of action. And that's what I'm working on now, making sure that I'm finding different things, mixing up my meals, because I will always end up failing.
I would say the biggest thing is too, for me, like I know that I have to have an actual lunch on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays. So like whatever I'm making for dinner, I just try and make extra of it so that I'm not making more work for myself. I know like when I work Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at the grocery store, I'm not there as late, so I usually cut up peppers and cucumbers and take an apple and eat that on my way home in the car, and then eat something like when I get home. But when I know that I have to make lunch, you're already making yourself dinner, so just make extra. And then it's less work in the end. And then you're not also eating necessarily the same thing all the time either. You're mixing up whatever you're eating and you don't get bored of it. Because that's the thing. If you try and stick to like a really strict diet, you're going to fail because you're going to be like, I'm over this. I don't want this anymore. You have to make your diet. I'm saying that with quotations because it's not. It's your lifestyle. You want your lifestyle to be something that works for you. Doing like a really restrictive diet isn't realistic. No one's going to sustain that. Okay, yeah, you'll probably lose a lot of weight at the beginning, but eventually you're going to go back to how you normally eat and you're going to put the weight back on. So making it easier for yourself and doing something that's actually going to work for you is half the battle. Figuring out your schedule, if you have a routine, if you don't, try and making a meal plan if that's what helps you kind of stick to your goals as well. There's just so many ways that you can do it. And my biggest thing is I enjoy eating my vegetables. If I don't have vegetables, I'm like, okay, I really need some like green beans, something. Like traveling is rough because I don't eat my quota of veggies. That's
no,
for sure.
For sure. She is not a veggie dumpster then. But who says that? I like eating vegetables. Good Lord. But that's amazing. And as you said, it's a lifestyle. You have to find something that works. That's why I really like Keto Body because you do the intermittent fasting, you allow yourself to, work really hard during the week. And as you said, on the weekends, I can enjoy myself. Obviously, I am not in the shape that Leslie is right now. I plan on being there at some point, but Leslie looks great. She's always working out. And then she is still enjoying her life. You are still, you're not being like, oh, I'm not going to have that drink, or I'm only going to have 3. You're not counting calories all the time. And as I said, once you get that lifestyle sorted out for yourself, because keep in mind, you can buy all the programs and everything, but nothing's going to be catered to you, right? You have to kind of tweak it and make it work for yourself so that way you continue to be successful. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is, looking at a program that you've purchased and maybe making little minor tweaks to make it your program, not just the program you bought from whoever, right? My week was also really good. I am so pumped. If you did subscribe to, or if you do subscribe to my Instagram page, you saw that I put a post up. I lost just over 2 pounds. Don't ask me how. But yeah, well, I guess I've been consistently working out. Exactly. And it's not coming back, I promise. This time I'm not bouncing back. I've been really good with, focusing on water. I mentioned that a couple times in my last episodes. It's just crazy how water can, I know it's like everyone says water is the best thing for you, but I don't think I've ever focused on it.
My thing is all I drink normally, unless I'm drinking alcoholic beverages, is water. If I don't drink enough water, I get a headache.
Yes.
My body knows if it hasn't had enough water, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, like what are you doing over there?
Yeah, like, fill me up, right? So that's kind of what I've been focusing on, and I've noticed too that sometimes, on days when I am kind of at work, especially because the water at work we can't drink out of the tap, it's kind of shitty. But, those days I get home from work and I'm a little more not lightheaded, I have a little bit more of a headache. I grab the water and get going, especially over the last week, 2 weeks, which is nice. But yeah, I had a really good week. I even, did fall victim to a very delicious $12.99 coupon from Domino's on Saturday. The roommates were gone for the night. I enjoyed and relaxed and had medium pizza and cheesy
Honestly,
bread.
I can crush a small pizza to myself.
Yeah,
so,
well, but I've noticed with me eating a little bit less and kind of focusing more on my plan. I usually could dummy a medium pizza, no problem. But this time I was more full. I only ate about 3 pieces, some of the cheesy bread. I took leftovers for lunch the next 2 days, and I don't know, it worked, right? And so yeah, I was down about just over 2 pounds, so looking good for the first week of the roommate weight loss challenge. Thank you. And I'm just going to continue kind of working hard. I went for a walk today. It was hot as balls out there. Holy crap, that was a little bit of a mistake, but again, I got it done, and now I can kind of rest and relax and hang out with Les for the rest of the day. So that's our pretty good fitness update. I think we both have been doing really well. Les is always doing well, so it's me trying to keep up with her.
COVID was not friendly to me either. Not being at the gym, I didn't work out for a long time, so I'm making my way back to being myself.
Yes, and that's okay, right? And COVID wasn't nice to anybody, I don't think, right? So now that we're kind of coming to the end of the pandemic and we're all kind of slowly, hopefully getting out of this mentality that we've had, and keep in mind, don't be hard on yourself. It's going to take time to get back to your old self. Even just mentally thinking, like, we've been stuck for almost, a year and a half, probably when all the restrictions are lifted, it'll be closer to 2 years. What's normal anymore? We don't really know. We have to kind of
even then, it's
figure
just
it out.
Like, you can't beat yourself up for it because in the end, as long as you're consistent, you will see the progress. Unfortunately, there's no magic pill, they can say sometimes, but unfortunately, you can't snap your fingers and all of a sudden lose the weight that you want to. I gained 15 pounds during COVID. I'm down about 6, but and it's not about the weight. It's really not, but it's where I feel my best.
Yes, where you're feeling good, you know.
Yeah, it's not about the weight. It's where I feel my best, and I want to get back to the progress that I had. I was lifting pretty heavy weights and everything like that. Obviously, not being at the gym, that really hinders a lot. I'm just doing a lot of home body workouts and everything like that. I did purchase a pull-up bar though.
Oh.
So that's kind of my next plan of attack, is to work on my pull-ups.
Nice.
Because I can't pull up to save my life.
No, yeah, well, yeah, if I'm falling off a cliff,
yeah, don't trust me.
It's done. I'm done. Well, as I said, I got all the workout equipment here, so if you ever need to stop by for a workout, you can always pop in. But yeah, and that's, I think with this part, especially with the restrictions lifting, I'm excited because we have the vaccines, and I mean, realistically, I don't think, unless the vaccines stop working for some reason, there really shouldn't be a fourth wave. We should.
No, I think the way that they're doing it this time, I think, is a lot smarter, because they're not just all of a sudden opening, and that's what happened the last couple times. And then we had to turn around and shut down again.
Yeah.
So because they're basing it off of the amount of vaccines that are out, I think that'll make a big difference. I hope, because honestly, I can't handle being locked down again.
No, absolutely, right? Like, oh, it's the worst. Like, I'm like, well, it's I think on Monday I checked, and that's when they made the announcement that they'll be moving forward with phase 1 of reopening for Ontario, and they said something like 72% of adults over the age of 18 have their first shot in Ontario. So yeah, that's great, right? We're doing well. Great. We're bumping everything up. Everything's moving a little bit faster. They were saying, I know a bunch of it was like 7 Ontario teams: the Jays, the Ticats, Argos. I know a bunch of them had kind of talked or were putting in to the government to have
like a proposal?
A proposal. Thank you. A proposal for phase or stage 2. They want to have 35% of fans in the stands,
nice.
And then with phase 3, which they were hoping by the end of July, if things go well, they'd have 100%, and we kind of be back to the thing.
Well, even with second doses, everything's moving up as well.
Yes.
So
before it was 5-6 months to get your second dose, and now things to be going faster, right? And that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, you're going to take your time to kind of get back. This summer is a write-off for me already. So summer 2022. I mean, I've been saying that for the last 10 years, but I have a good feeling about summer 2022. So, keep a lookout for the...
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Exactly. All right. So yeah, that's our fitness update for the week. I think we're both crushing it, both having a great week. I'm not going to lie. There were some people on the roommate challenge who maybe went up a little bit, but that's what happens when you drink all weekend. And I just sit on the couch. So we're doing, I have a good way in for the first week. Again, 3 more weeks left, so I got to stay consistent. And then, as you said, consistency is key. You're going to have bad days, but don't let those bad days turn into bad weeks, bad months. And I think we'll all be better for it at the end.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't let it derail you just because you have a shitty couple days. Everyone needs to enjoy themselves and not worry about it. As long as you regroup,
yep,
then you'll be good to go.
Start fresh Monday, as I like to say, right? I'm just kidding.
But you actually have to
start
fresh on the Monday.
My good friend Rita and me like to say that, and we never start fresh on Monday because Mondays suck, right? So yeah. All right. Other than that was our fitness update for the week, and now we just kind of, little Leslie's jumped back onto the dating world a little bit, and I kind of wanted to get her take on how everything is with a little bit of the pandemic and that kind of stuff. So how have you felt? Like, how are things going? Do you find it's a little bit easier now to talk a little bit more before you go and meet somebody? Or are you meeting people? Or are you kind of just doing the FaceTime? What's your plan of attack?
Well, I feel like I decided to finally get dating apps because, that's what everyone else is doing. And it was like in the midst of the pandemic, never ending. It was like, I guess, end of February, mid-February, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. We'll see how this goes. So I joined Hinge and Bumble, and was chatting with a few people, and then I was just like, this is a lot of work. A lot of small talk.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. So I talked with a few people, and then I was like, okay, that's enough for now. I don't need more matches to try and remember what I'm talking to people about when everybody talks about all the same things for the most part, at the beginning. Small talk is real. But I ended up going on a couple dates. Again, because it's being a pandemic, you can't really do a lot. With the one guy we met off of Bumble, and we ended up going to Fairy Lake and just did multiple laps around Fairy Lake and walked up Main Street because like there's nothing
to
really
do.
else
Walking
to do.
dates are a real big thing these days.
So we chatted and I decided I wasn't into it, and I told him that, and he ghosted me, which I'm not really. My thing is, like, I look at dating apps, nobody owes me anything, and I'm really not upset if I get ghosted or if not that I've ghosted, because I'm just not that kind of person. I just told them that I wasn't interested. But, like, whatever, you do you. You literally don't owe anybody anything. You've talked for, like, a week. It's not like I've known you my whole life and we're best friends. I think it's very different from meeting people in person, because, obviously, normally when you meet someone you're in person, you're like, okay, yeah, like, I'm into you. Like, I want to get to know you more. Yeah, so, like, you know, for me, meeting the first time, it was kind of the same thing. I had to, like, take it with a grain of salt, because I'm like, just because we've had really good conversations, like, doesn't mean it's going to be the same
compatible.
In person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I met up with another guy as well, and same kind of thing. I was just kind of like, I don't know about this dating thing, and he was like, with me or like in general? And I was like, no, in general.
Yeah.
So I ended up pausing the apps for a while because I'm just like, I can't be bothered with this.
Too much stress, and that's what it's not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be something you're using to, you know, find somebody to better yourself in the end, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that we forget, is that dating's a numbers game. You're not gonna, like me personally, I'm off of all the dating apps now. I did go back in the pandemic and I met somebody who was really, really amazing. But I just found, for me, I just put too much stress on myself. I wasn't feeling my best. I wasn't looking my best. And as that age-old proverb, right? You know, you can't love someone else until you love yourself. And honestly, I do think that is true, because for me, I feel that I shouldn't be trying to fix myself or relying on someone to try and help me fix myself. Like, I think that's extremely selfish. So for me, I thought the best thing to do would be kind of cut it off and, you know, maybe go back to it in the future to see if something is there. But right now I got to focus on me. And I think you're absolutely right. I think we're very similar in the sense that we both don't like ghosting people. I always like it's I feel so bad, right? And you feel terrible, and it's not like what am I trying to say? It's, to me, it's just common courtesy, right? Like, I've been ghosted so many, like, holy crap, like, so many times, and you do feel a little bad. You're like, oh,
okay,
like,
but I literally had a guy tell me that there was, like, a family emergency, and, like, this point we had been talking for, like, a few weeks, and I was like, okay, like, I hope everything goes okay. Yeah. Because at first when he said it, he made it sound like it was a family get-together, and I was like, you do realize it. Like, this was, like, just after, like, the stay-at-home order went back into place, and I was like, okay, like, sure. And then I was like, so are we going to talk when you're, like, done your family emergency? And he was like, oh, yeah, no worries. Like, I have a lot on my mind. And I was like, okay, literally never heard from him. I didn't message him because I'm like, why am I grasping at straws? We've literally never even met. You know? Like, I don't know. I think, for me, they've been on pause more than they've been active.
Yeah, and because it is stressful. I don't like it, you know? And again, it's just one of those things where, especially with ghosting, yes, I don't like ghosting people. I will always send them a message being like, hey, thank you so much. If we have been out on a date or two, I really appreciated that, but it's not for me, right? And yeah, it's awkward, and sometimes you get some, you know, nasty text messages back or messages back because people just like to lash out and make other people feel bad about themselves, and that is the world. But, you know, if you're going to get back into the dating game, then it's unfortunately that, you know, you have to play that game and you have to be ready to deal with those consequences. But for me, I find I'm always trying, especially because I'm getting a little older now, into my 30s, I always try that I'm trying to, like, fit like a square peg into like a circular hole, right? I'm like, well, I'm never going to meet anybody else. Like, this is it. And it's like, it's almost like, I'm like, I don't want to settle. Like, I'm not going to settle. You know, that's not fair to me. That's not fair to the person I'm seeing. So at the end of the day, you know, you're going to have to go through a bunch of people to figure out, you find someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Because I guess, well, for me at my age, I'm not dating for fun. I'm too old for that. Yeah. Dating even for marriage.
I just feel like too, like, dating has never really been a big priority to me. Like, I've just been doing my own thing, and yeah, relationships have come along. Like, it's not like I'm, like, against them, but it's just being vulnerable sucks enough. And then when it all gets thrown back in your face, you know, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're done with this for a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be vulnerable, and you're gonna get thrown back at you, right?
Unfortunately, relationships are one-sided until they're not one-sided. Yes, at least to some point. Unfortunately,
no, for sure. And I think you have the right mindset too. And I think both of us. I think I think we've watched way too many rom-coms. And I think we both are very we're both hopeless romantics in the fact that we both didn't get into dating apps forever because we're still waiting on that, at the grocery store you both go for the same item and oh gosh, oh yeah, oh now we're in love, or you're at the pumpkin patch, and you're I want just stupid shit that we've seen in movies. And I think we're both just kind of
even
waiting
just real
for that.
life. Like I know people who multiple people I know went traveling and are married to people that they met traveling, and I'm like, I've done a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Where's my romance?
It's not I don't know, it's like a catch-22 because at the same time I'm like, well, whatever, it's not the end of the world, but at the same time I'm like, well, frig man, where's my real life meet
Where's
cute?
my Prince Charming, or Princess Charming for myself, but that's the thing, and it's also like for me, I feel the same way. I've been in one serious relationship in my life, a couple things here and there, nothing too crazy. I learned a lot, but I've also become very comfortable being single, and I think a lot of people should take that time to be comfortable with themselves. I feel like we're both very set in our routines, and we need somebody who's
not only that, exactly though, do I need a boyfriend? No. Do I want one? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not, I'm not like, oh my god, I'm single, I need to find someone.
Yeah.
It's not, like you said, it's just, I don't know.
A significant other doesn't make you the way you are. Like, to me, I look at it as I want to be with someone who can make me better, and then who I can in turn make them better, and then we work together to build a life together and have kids and whatever. It's just I'm happy that I am happy single, but I want to add that piece to my life to make things better, right? I think that's at the end of the day, and you have some people who go from relationship to relationship and they need that person almost, and it's almost like it's a little bit sad because at the end of the day,
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't need no man, and it's just, it's nice to be able to, have your own routines, be comfortable with yourself. Well, that's what I'm working on, at least, because I'm not there yet, but not rely on someone to be your identity. You are your own person, and then you want to find somebody who makes you better. And I think
I think for us too, we have a lot of close friends.
Yes.
My friends are my family, and that's enough for me. I don't need more. Do I want more? Yeah, but I want a lot of things, and doesn't mean I'm going to get them necessarily.
Absolutely. And having close friends who are kind of, it's four of us about now, or the same kind of situation, and we're going to kind of continue to do us, and if we find somebody who fits into that, I'm not, I always get this big fear of I'm going to meet somebody and they're going to be like, well, I hate your friends. And I'm like, well, especially because I have a lot of girlfriends, right? Yeah. And I'm like, if you just come and see how I act with them, you'll know very well that there's nothing going on there. Not like that. I love you all. You're all beautiful. I love you. But it's just, we are the bestest of friends, if you will. Exactly. And I want to see you guys do well, and I hope you guys want to see me do well. And that's kind of my biggest fear. Is
you want us to see you do well?
Yeah. Oh. Is that okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I want that beer back. So it's just and it's just, we have a little bit more of a harder group of friends to kind of break into because we've all been together for so long. We all have all these inside jokes and stuff. So I always fear that I'm going to bring somebody in and it's going to be awkward. But
at the same time, as much as we've been a close group of friends for a long time, are welcoming. I mean, I know it's harder to be in our friend group necessarily.
We're pretty popular.
Be in, but for the most part, everyone's pretty good.
You just gotta tell a couple of them to be nice for the first little bit, and then, but they'll give you the honest truth, and that at the end of the day is, I think, important too, because you don't want to change your whole self.
I don't want my friends to be different for somebody that I'm dating. My friends are my friends.
Yeah. They're not going anywhere.
I'm not getting rid of them.
You might go somewhere. Exactly, right? So that's the dream. Have someone who you can date who fits right in with your friends and your family, and I think that's what we're looking for. But as I said, it's very stressful, especially with a pandemic. I did like this, for me, I don't know, I did talking a little bit more before meeting somebody, because again, I have...
Well, it gives you the opportunity to talk
see,
a bit,
Yeah, and I get really anxious about it. I'm driving and I'm like, oh my god, why did I do this? And it's just so sad, but I'm also kind of it's kind of good. Sometimes it gets a little bit past butterflies.
Wrong with being
nervous.
Yeah,
it's a good thing, right? You don't want to be when people does. Oh, this is just, I've done this so often, I don't care. So I do think, yes, okay, thank you. That is, I'm gonna take it as a good thing. Check in that box. I guess we've kind of already covered what are some of your biggest pet peeves. anything a little bit more annoying during the pandemic, but I guess like we both, ghosting is so annoying.
But
Don't
even then, like,
ghost.
I just really haven't been on them that much to like
To have a pet peeve yet?
to have it. I mean, I'm sure I do if I really thought about it, but at the same time, it's kind of just like I said, I'm not on them. They don't
They're
owe
not
me
your life.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they don't owe me anything. Like, yes, I've gone on a handful of dates. I've talked with some people like over FaceTime and stuff, which I like. When you do meet them, it's not the same as, or sorry,
Sounds awkward.
it's the same. Yeah, like you've
Yeah.
kind of already gotten over that. Whereas I think like that's the thing with dating apps. It's so much different than real life because you've already done that part probably before you've gone on a date.
Yeah.
So like it's just a different dynamic, and I'm still unsure about the dating apps.
Yeah, it's
But
gotta keep at them, and you get a little bit more comfortable with them. Yeah, I did a couple FaceTime dates with some gals over the pandemic after I like shaved my head and that kind of stuff. So it was not the greatest look, right? But
I liked
oh
your shaved
god,
head.
I did too. But now I'm going for the mullet, so we'll see how that goes. It's
I
gonna
don't-
probably be the same as when I wanted the man bun, but
I wasn't
you
here
know.
for the man bun, and I don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
to be here for this man
She
bun
had to leave
either.
the country, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I literally had to leave the country. Just kidding.
We'll see how it goes. Stay tuned on Instagram for some mullet updates now. Yeah, as I said, I think my biggest pet peeve is going to be ghosting. For me, it's just, I understand.
I get
You
it though
don't
because
owe-
it's so awkward.
Yes, it's so awkward when I send a text being like, "Hey, I don't want to see you anymore." Like, yes, that's awkward, but for me, I just feel like I'm not a bad person. Like,
No, but I get why people do it.
Yes,
I 100%
I totally do.
get why they do it because people get super offended,
yes.
and I'm like, how are you
I-
offended? We've talked for like a week.
And I think those are the difference in people who are looking for just a bang and people maybe who are looking
100%.
for
100%. I mean, the thing is too, like, I'm glad that you're actually taking it seriously.
yeah.
But then you can't get offended when I tell you that I'm not I can't force myself
No.
to like, you know.
And I would never want anyone to force themselves to like me.
But even then, it's just like, I'm like, you can tell after meeting someone for the first
Yes.
time, like if you have any inclination to like want to get to know them more.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't.
And that's my I was always a one and done, if you will. Like I'd go on a first date and I'm like, not really my thing. So now like going forward when the kind of pandemic stops and I get to the point where I'm comfortable with myself and not looking in the mirror and going, damn, you're a lazy piece of shit. I am going to try a second date. Like, you know what I mean? Just to see, because, first dates, everyone's nervous, we got, especially with coming out of the pandemic and you're kind of doing that. So I'm going to force myself to be a little bit more second date ready, if you will.
Even then, I just feel like everyone's going to be rusty at dating.
Yeah, true.
/ socialization in general because
Jesus,
we haven't
yeah.
done it in a while. So, like, maybe cut people a little bit of a break.
Yeah, that goes to everybody, Be nice to people, they're going to be a
In
little
general,
bit awkward.
not even dating app wise. Oh my
Oh
god, be
so
nice.
true,
like,
yeah.
people are like, oh, everyone was so nice during this pandemic. And I'm like, to an extent. And then now people are just back to being nasty.
Yeah, just the
Like-
worst. I agree. Well, I work retail, you work in a grocery store. Just be nice. Shut up. Like, I would never talk to the way some people talk to us.
And don't get me wrong, I have like some of the nicest customers who like remember me. Like I had this one lady who's a frequent customer. Like I see her weekly, and she's like, how's everything going? Like, are people still being nice? And I was like, well, some people don't even acknowledge that I'm standing at the back of their vehicle loading their groceries. Some people are super nice and talk to me the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, my thing is, I don't need to be your best friend, but when I'm standing there loading my groceries, you could at least acknowledge that I said hi to you.
Yeah.
Like-
Hi. Thank you very much. Have a great
Yeah,
day.
like, it's really
yeah.
common coururity, but
Yes.
again, like common sense, not always
Not
common.
always common. Exactly. So this is, I guess, is the big question.
Mm.
Have you ever had any unsolicited dick pics?
Definitely. Even got
Yeah?
even got some videos
What?
before.
Videos! Unsolicited dick videos we're onto now. Gosh, this pandemic has ruined everyone.
Yeah, it's,
But what do you, me personally, I don't know, maybe I'm just a prude, but why do I
Nobody wants them.
No!
Nobody wants
and
them.
everyone's
Unless you're like legit like sexting and like that is like
yes,
the topic of
there's
conversation.
a time and place, right?
Fine.
But
But
just
like
hey, here's my dick. I'm like, why do you think, do you
I
guys,
literally don't even know what to say back. Like I feel like sometimes I don't even respond.
like, you
because
think
I'm
people
just
send
like,
a vagina shot after that? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Nobody does that.
no,
And
yeah.
if you do, well, good for you. But I
well,
don't.
good on you, Trish. But I like, I hear, obviously, as I said, I have a lot of friends who are girl, and they're like, oh, I just got another dick pic. And I'm just like, why are you sending this? I guess maybe people just are very confident in
I mean, like, good for
themselves.
that. Good for you for
um,
like being like, I'm gonna send this.
yeah.
But at the same time, nobody wants
maybe
an
ask a
unsolicited
why.
dick
Why should I
pic.
send this? Right.
Nobody wants.
As I said,
them.
yeah. When there's, especially with the pandemic, you had to find a little bit more ways to enjoy each other, and there's a time and place for them for sure. But I mean, just like the second or third,
No,
it's the worst.
No, nobody wants it.
I will also say though, one of my pet peeves is how, because I've Tinder is a cesspool. I don't go near Tinder anymore. I think everyone kind of knows that.
Yeah, I never got
I
on
like
the
Bumble.
Tinder.
Bumble's nice. I think especially with the women having to talk first, they have to kind of make the first move, which
Yeah.
is nice. But I also just find people can't talk anymore. Hey,
My thing is, like, I'll try and say, like, if it's like on a Hinge profile, like if there's something, like I'll try and comment on that, so
Yeah.
it kind of starts a topic instead of just being like, hey. The amount of like, hey, what's up? I'm like,
yeah,
hey. It doesn't get the ball rolling. Like, we don't know each other. It's not.
you're not making me want to get to know you. Like, and
I'm just perfect. This is the most generic conversation that I've had about 100 times over.
hey, and especially like, if you are on Bumble and you're a woman sending, why send anything then?
I usually do like the little questions
Yeah.
where like both have to
Yeah.
answer, because I think those are
Because
funny.
I'm thinking, if you're not going to put any effort into this conversation now, if we ever did start dating, what's the effort level then, right? Like, and so yeah, I think that's my biggest pet peeve is, and I feel like with the more technology we have and the more we rely on it, the worse and worse things have gotten, and especially just carrying on a conversation, people struggle with that now. They're mostly in their phones, and I'm sad to see where things are going to go, especially dating wise over the next little bit.
My thing is, like, I've never had a problem talking.
Yeah,
Like,
I
no,
never
but I
shut
just
up.
mean,
Like,
yeah,
that's
as
the
I'm saying.
problem, right? We're drunk and the two of us are just, oh yeah.
I've never, I was the kid with the report card that said talks too much in class.
Absolutely.
Like,
The only exceeds expectation I ever got was
Yeah.
talks too much. Yeah, no, for sure. And I just, I'm worried about it, because it's like, well, I'm not very good at this online dating, but do I need to be? Like,
I feel like, I think it depends too, because like that's the thing. I feel like I said, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, not everybody that you match with maybe you won't go on a date. Maybe you will just talk. I think,
and that's okay. Like, that's
and
the
that's
thing, right?
fine.
Like, that's fine.
it's
It's
totally
a numbers
fine.
game.
Like, I think it's
But making sure you're going on
hard
dates.
for people to kind of wrap their head around that as well.
Yes, I think, as I said, I'm trying to smash that fucking square into the circle, right? But that's the thing. Especially, I find the pressure gets on a little bit more as you get a little bit older.
100%.
But-
But people are like, "What are you looking for? Do you want a serious
Yeah.
relationship? Are you just looking
Rapid
to bang?"
fire, like
Rapid
rapid fire. Inside joke. But yeah, and that's kind of,
And I get it. You want to have those conversations. You don't want to waste people's time. But at the same time, you actually have to get to know somebody, I think,
Yes.
first before it's like a relevant conversation. Like,
police interrogation, no. Thank
yeah,
you.
like, I think, I don't know. I think it's a touchy subject no matter what. Some people don't even know what they want. And that's obviously okay too. But at the same time.
But then why are you on a dating app? That's my thing. Why are you on a dating app?
But I just mean, like, in general,
Oh,
life-wise
true,
and stuff.
okay,
Like,
yeah.
I get that. It's hard to be like, do you want kids? Like, maybe
know, yeah.
maybe you're not sure. Like, I get that.
Well, right now, especially with society too, right? When our parents were growing up, by the time they were 25, most of them had a house, had kids, all this. But now it's so different, and like,
Yeah, it's not the same.
it's
at
not the
all.
same. Like, and that's what I have to keep telling myself, is that the world doesn't end after I hit 30, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of what I've been working on. And as I said, I'm going to take these next couple months, work on myself, hopefully get concerts back so we can start hitting
Oh,
up some
I hope
concerts.
so.
And and then we'll see where the dating game goes, right? As I said, right now, or I have another good question for you.
Ooh.
Have you ever found yourself feeling inadequate with your looks or your physique, succumbing a little bit to like the unrealistic societal standards put on men and women? And does this play any parts in dating? Like, like for me, as I said, I literally do not like the way I look like naked. So the thought of the thought of being naked in front of somebody else, no.
I mean, yeah, even though, like, yeah, I work out and I'm in shape, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I gained weight during COVID and I wasn't fitting into majority of my clothes, and I was getting ready for New Year's Eve, and I was texting
Sweatpants.
Laura, and I was like, I don't even know. And I was like, I'm going naked. I don't even know what to wear. I'd rather just go naked, because then at least you can't tell that my clothes don't fit me right now.
Well, that's yeah.
And like, I ended up pulling together an outfit. I found some pants that were stretchy and I pulled it together and I was fine, but I was having a really hard time for a bit there, because it's just, I don't fit in my clothes.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting.
And I don't want to buy new clothes.
And I'm not saying that I have to fit into my clothes. Like, I am totally fine with buying bigger clothes, but to what extent? I know I'm going to lose the weight. I know I'm not going to weigh this much forever. Like, I know I wasn't working out. I wasn't really doing anything. Like, I know why I weigh this much, but it just amazes me how fast you friggin' put on weight and how long it takes you to lose it.
Yes,
and I
that's
know
the
this.
worst
I know
ratio.
this. But at the same time, it's like, it's just kind of a punch in the face. Like, the pandemic was already hard enough, and it's just like one more thing. And it's just, I think people really need to be generous with themselves and be kind.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with sizing up. I'm sorry, but there's pant sizes that I buy in the size of pants that I literally have multiple other sizes of pants in the same size. And I buy another pair, and then they don't fit, and I'm like, okay.
That's not your fault. There's something else going on there.
But it's just like, it's definitely, it takes a hit on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's definitely times, like don't get me wrong, being in a bathing suit, no thank you. Like literally.
I still wear a shirt when I swim,
like,
so yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's for sure, and that's a thing, and I think I'm very hard on myself with most things in life, and I need to stop doing that. You know, as I said, it's going to take time. I'm not going to work out one day and be, you know, Zac Efron tomorrow. And it's just, as I said, consistency and just giving yourself the time.
Giving yourself grace.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a nice, good word.
Mm-hmm, nice.
But yeah, and that's, I think, you know, especially, you know, getting back into dating, when I do decide to do that, you know, I'm going to be in love with myself, and I'm going to be ready to love someone else at some point. So yeah. Yeah, well, that was a really good conversation about dating, and I'm happy to get a little bit of a, you know, I think everyone's kind of in the same boat with, you know, not really knowing what's going on, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens with kind of the restrictions lifting.
Well, and my thing is, too, like, it's just, I am currently working 6 days a week, so it's like, I don't really, not that I don't want to date, but it's like, my schedule is
pretty crappy.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, so, and you know, but that's what if somebody wants to be with you, they'll make it work, right? Like, you know, 100%. and there always has to be compromise and that kind of stuff. And we'll do another episode about, you know, being in a relationship. But yeah, listen to the two of us who've been single for the last like 5 years. I don't know
if anyone's gonna listen to anything.
No,
but what I have to say.
My mom will. So bless your heart, Karen. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I just kind of wanted to, you know, touch base with you, see what's going on in the dating world, as I have my stuff all shut off right now, and it sounds like things are okay and aren't going well. I think we've touched on any advice we have for people is just to, you know, be honest, be open. Don't try and be somebody you're not, because at the end of the day, they're going to find out that you're not that person.
And not even that. It's just like, if you wouldn't want your time wasted in a relationship because somebody, for whatever reason, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone has their reasons. Think of yourself in those shoes. Don't waste somebody else's time, because what if they're like fully into it and you're like, nah, I'm out. Be upfront about the way that you're feeling, because it's not fair. And I know life isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like,
but you can control that.
You do have to be considerate to other people's feelings. Yeah. And dating is hard for everyone. Like, it doesn't. Don't forget that. Yeah, like, dating is hard. So, like, you know, again, give yourself some grace.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, so again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. We're coming up on an hour mark here, so that's amazing. Our beers are almost done, so we'll have to go get some more after that, and that means we're leaving. But other than that, do you want to shout out any of your socials? I know that you and Brienne have a Instagram account for when you were doing all your traveling, as you guys love to travel. And obviously that's been a little stagnant
literally
recently.
Like, get me on a freaking plane.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so our Instagram that we had together, we made it before we went to New Zealand, Australia, and a bunch of other countries at the beginning of 2019. It's called Forever Wandering Besties. Did a little shout out for World Ocean Day the other day, but she's looking a little sad because we haven't gone anywhere, but hopefully get her...
Back up and running soon. So definitely, I'll put it in the post I put up there. Follow it, give them a follow. They're going to be getting back out traveling. I'm sure you guys are both just waiting at the gate to go. But other than that, as always, follow me at the Lazy Piece of Shit Instagram account. If you have any issues or questions, and want to, you know, tell me how you enjoyed Seaspiracy or anything like that, shoot me a DM.
Am I a good guest? I would like to.
Yes, is Leslie a good guest? I think you did great. We were just, you know, I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed having a guest because I find that I get very in my head about just me talking. So I think it went really well. I may have to have you back. We'll have to see. We'll see what the people say.
Okay,
though, you know. But yeah, and then if you have you want to email me, lazypieceof_t@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you all on how things are going. Maybe if you had any funny dating stories that I can shout out next episode, anything like that. But other than that, it is the weekend. Rest, relax, enjoy, because the work week's going to be back in a couple days.
Monday comes pretty damn quick.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop.
Especially when I only have Sunday off.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, thank you so much for hanging out, Les.
Thanks for having me.
We'll probably definitely have you back on because you are an absolute angel. And other than that, enjoy your guys' weekends. Stay safe, stay weird, and we'll talk to you guys soon.